So we've spoken on the channel about Light of the World before. I actually got to watch this movie a few months ago, but also I got to watch it again with my wife, of course, in theaters just when it came out this last couple of weeks. Now, I know that it's not going to be in a lot of theaters for very much longer, but I do want to encourage you, if you have any time at all, please, please, please go to the theater and watch Light of the World. Even if you don't have kids, even if you don't have little kids to bring with you to the theater, this is an amazing movie, okay? Not just for little kids. There are so many little things in here that we're going to talk about today that were just amazing, okay? So my spoiler-free version of this is you need to go watch this movie if you can. It's still in theaters for a little while. Whenever it comes out of theaters and we get to watch it on a streamer or something else, I will let you know when that is. I have spoken with the directors of this movie. I've been, in contact with the team behind the scenes, and there's so many people that I love that are part of this that have made something really, really amazing. It's not just the animation. It's not just the Easter eggs of the biblical things. It's not just the storyline. It's not just the gospel itself that's in this. It's the whole package of everything put together. It is really, 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 really good. Okay. Let me play this trailer as we kind of go through here. This movie is a 2D animated movie made by one of the directors and his brother, the Bancroft brothers, if you ever heard of them, are two Disney animators that left Disney because of their faith. Okay. They felt they were getting slightly persecuted at Disney. They couldn't really talk about certain things, or they couldn't really bring up their faith in certain ways. And so they actually left Disney. And these are huge animators. I'm talking like they made like Lion King, and they designed Mushu from Mulan, and they worked on Pocahontas, and they worked on all these massive projects, right? After that, they went and worked on VeggieTales a little bit. After that, they worked on a bunch of other stuff. Okay, these are some of the most famous animators, Disney animators in the world, and they are hardcore Christians. Okay, and they are just really good at what they do. Okay, these are the guys that are kind of leading the project, and so this is a 2D animated movie about basically the entire book of John. You can think about it that way. It's not as much like The Chosen, where you're going to have like these really intimate character moments over and over and over again. There's a lot of following John through the journey of the entire book of John to get through to the death and resurrection of Jesus, and then into the very end of it where they kind of continue on with their lives and they start to build the church, sort of thing. There is so many. Okay, let me start first with the animation. Let's talk about that first. You can see it right here. The animation of this show is really, really good. Okay, there's a lot of really funny things they do with the animation. It's just really solid. Basically, any frame that you stop this show is just beautiful. There's no frames in this show that are like, that looks kind of cruddy, like it's not done very well. Every single frame is intentional. Every single frame is just beautifully done, okay? One of my favorite frames is like right around the time, I don't know if it's in this trailer actually. Let me see. I don't think that it is. I don't think it's in this trailer, but there's one of my favorite frames is Jesus, and you can see they don't hide away from Jesus being scourged. They don't hide away from Jesus being hurt. Okay, it's kid friendly, but it is very in your face about he is hurt, he is bleeding, he has been whipped, he is being crucified. All of that is legit. Okay, and so basically what it does is it follows John, who is this kid right here, right at the beginning. You see John here. He is right around 13 years old. Okay, so that is basically a proper age for John of where he would have been. He's one of the youngest disciples, and he would have been around 13 years old when he begins to follow Jesus. And essentially what happens is it follows him throughout the whole story of him before Jesus, him growing up, and then into the ministry of Jesus, and then all through the death and resurrection of Jesus as well. And so that's the idea of the story here. But it's following it through the perspective of John, and how he experiences it and how he kind of gets through it. So it is very, very good for a kid audience, But moving on to my next point, this is also really, really great for an adult audience who knows their Bible as well, because there are a million Easter eggs within this movie that are like Jewish historical connections or Jewish cultural connections, or specifically like things that are in scripture that only really Bible readers would catch, for example. There are just some really, really stuff within this that makes it way over the top for me. And I just found myself like deep diving into these little moments all over the place. For example, let me see if I can find it here. For example, like this moment here with Jesus, here's Andrew and Jesus, by the way. But this moment here, whenever Jesus is talking about locusts, of course, before this point, the scene right before this, John had just met John the Baptist. And so he was talking with John the Baptist, and John the Baptist, of course, loves locusts and honey. And so here's this scene here where John the Baptist has a locust and he dips it in the honey, and he's talking about baptism and the importance of that, but he's also eating the locust, right? And so that connects to it there. There's a bunch of little tiny Easter eggs all throughout this that are just really beautifully placed. Whether it comes to, Nicodemus or Joseph of Arimathea, or the apostles themselves, right? Talking about Judas and his betrayal and all that happens with that. There are so many moments here that are just really, really, really cool biblical moments as well. So they just knocked it out of the park. There's only one part at the very end of the movie that I thought was kind of cheesy, but I also understand why they needed to put it in there. And it's kind of like a sinner's prayer type, like gospel moment, which felt very Sunday school for me personally. I did not love that. But outside of that, I would give this movie a 9 out of 10. I think it's really, really solid. If I had kids, this would be the movie I'd bring them to, not King of Kings. I think particularly the theology in this movie is very solid as well, especially when it comes to Jesus being fully God and fully man. I think that is incredibly important, and I think it's something that King of Kings dropped the ball on pretty heavily. However, here, it is very, very clear who Jesus is and what his role is as the Son of God and as God, okay? So really, really, really cool stuff here. Love the movie. Please go check it out if you can. Just search tonight and search, Light of the World in my area or whatever, and you can hopefully go catch it in theaters. And then when it's out of theaters, I'll try to give you where this is going to be later on. I just think it's really, really amazing. The last thing I want to talk about with this movie is that there is no big studio behind it. Okay, there's no big studio that is like investing in this or funding this, or this big company that's like, hey, we're going to make all these biblical shows and you're one of them, sort of thing. You know who's behind this? Is literally one guy, okay? Not making it, but funding it behind the scenes. There's one guy who's a really solid Christian and a very good businessman, and all he did was say, hey, here's $20 million. I want you to make the best animated movie you possibly can. And then the Bancroft brothers and my friend John, who's a director as well, they took that money and they made the best team that they possibly could, and they made the best film they could for that money. And I guarantee you that there are films that were made with $50 million that are in the animated realm that are not as good as this film. Okay. And I'm saying that as a person who doesn't really love kid movies and things like that. I thought that this was amazing. And at first I was like, am I just telling myself that? Did I really remember the movie properly? But when I went to go re-see it recently with my wife, I remembered how good this movie actually was. And I was surprised even the second time I watched it about how good this movie was. And so, yeah, only the one cheesy part at the very end with kind of like a sinner's prayer type thing. But other than that, I thought this was a great, great, great movie. So go check it out. I'd really love for you guys to see it. If you have time this week to go and check it out, definitely do it, and I'll update you on what the future is for that. So anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Did you watch this movie? I would give this, like I said, a 9 out of 10. Amazing stuff. Anyway, see you guys in the next one. Peace.